The summer movie season is upon us every single week for the next 3 months. We've got some exciting movies coming out, whether you're talking about big franchise films or interesting original stories. So today we're going through summer 2024 week by week, letting you know what movies are coming out and who should be excited about it. This is my summer 2024 watch guide. To help me put together my summer watch list, I'm creating an IMDb watch list with my most anticipated movies of the summer. I'm creating it on imdb.com as well as using the IMDb app. I want to see and share some of your summer watch lists. So create your own IMDb watch list, take a picture of it, do a screenshot, then share it on your Instagram stories or on your Twitter or X account. Tag me as well as use hashtag IMDb, and then I'll see your summer watch list and I'll share a whole bunch of them. With that said, let's get started creating our summer watch list for 2024. Kicking things off May 24th. This weekend has a little bit of something for everyone. First movie we're talking about on here is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So this is a prequel to the movie Mad Max Fury Road about the Furiosa character. Mad Max Fury Road was one of the best action movies of the last decade. It was so thrilling and exciting, and actually the idea for Furiosa is a movie that George Miller has had for 15 years. He almost released it as an anime side by side with Fury Road. We're finally getting to see this story that's been in his head for a long time. I can't wait to check this one out. It is definitely going on my watch list. Now, if Furiosa is an R-rated movie for adults, then we got one for the kids as well, the Garfield movie. This is an animated adaptation of the comic strip as well as animated show. This time, Chris Pratt is voicing Garfield, and it's telling a new story about Garfield meeting his dad, kind of going on this heist adventure. I actually saw it this past weekend. All three of my kids had a lot of fun with it. For all the music lovers, Disney Plus is dropping a documentary called The Beach Boys, about the Beach Boys, where all of the Beach Boys are coming together to tell their story of how they dominated pop music. Then over on Netflix, we have Atlas, a movie where Jennifer Lopez uses a mech suit. We got Simu Liu as well as Sterling K. Brown in here, and it's from the director of the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson films, Rampage, as well as San Andreas. And then one more movie coming out this weekend, Hitman. This stars Glenn Powell. It's directed by Richard Linklater, and it's kind of based on a real story. I was actually able to see it at its premiere last week, and it's this mix of procedural crime thriller, comedy, romance, all kind of at the same time. It doesn't neatly fit into any one box, but it's very accessible, very enjoyable, and this one absolutely goes on my watch list. I can't wait to check it out with my wife. It is getting a limited theatrical release on May 24th. If you can see it in a theater with a full crowd, highly recommend that you do that. But it will also be dropping on Netflix next month. May 31st, this is another weekend delivering movies for two very different audiences. In a Violent Nature. This is a slasher. I was actually able to watch it at the Overlook Film Festival last month. And basically the idea here is that it's a Friday the 13th-esque slasher, except told almost entirely from the perspective of the slasher, the Jason Voorhees-esque character. There is one awesome kill in this movie, the yoga kill, like it's an all-timer. So if you're a fan of slashers, in particular the Friday the 13th films, this is a movie that you should check out just because it's such a unique film in the genre. Then we have Robot Dreams. This was actually nominated for Best Animated Film in this past year's Oscars, but it's just now finally getting its wide release. It's a movie with with no dialogue in it. And so if you're a fan of animation, For the people that saw this movie, they said this is one of the top 5 animated films that was produced last year, so you probably want to look into this one. Moving into our next month, June 7th, we've got Bad Boys 4 Ride or Die. This is the latest film in the 30-year-old franchise. I thought that the last movie that they put out a few years back was the best of the bunch. I think the trailers they put out thus far look really good. So this is another one that is going on my watch list. Next film on here, we have The Exorcism. This is another Russell Crowe movie about him performing exorcisms. So I don't know what it is about this era of Russell Crowe's career where he just really wants to get involved in exorcism movies, but man, I was not expecting that to be where his career shifted in the 2020s. Then we have The Watchers. This is a movie from Ishana Night Shyamalan, the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan. So just inherently right there, I'm curious what she's going to do with a film. She wrote it, she directed it. It seems to be very much in the vein of M. Night Shyamalan thrillers, but with her own little spin to it. Very curious about this one. It's another one that is going on my watch list. Moving right along to June 14th, and we have our latest Pixar film, Inside Out 2. This is the next adventure in Riley's life as she moves into puberty. I thought the first Inside Out was just such a clever idea, which was able to tackle kind of complex ideas of cognitive development, but package them in a way that kids can understand and enjoy them. Hopefully, it's going to have the same magic, because I think that the first one is such a good film and moving along into puberty makes a lot of sense. This is another one going on my watch list. Here's a smaller film coming out this same weekend, Ghostlight. Now, this is a film about someone that experiences a tragedy, and then they sign up for a local production, or to act in a local production of Romeo and Juliet as a way to kind of process through everything going on in their life. This played at South by Southwest as well as several other film festivals over the last 6 months. I wasn't able to see it at South by Southwest, but several people I was there with saw it, and it was one of their favorite films of the film festival. So if you're into theater productions, this might be right up your alley. June 21st. First up here, we have The Bikeriders. This movie was actually supposed to come out last year, but it kind of got lost in the strikes and had to push back its release date and had a change of distribution. It's from Jeff Nichols, the director of Mud. It stars Jodie Comer, Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Michael Shannon, Boyd Holbrook, and it's about a motorcycle gang. Looks like a solid drama. Another one on here, smaller film, Humanistic Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. I actually saw this at the Overlook Film Festival last month. It is a French-Canadian film, basically about a vampire that doesn't want to kill people. And so she's seeking out someone that she can kill that wants to die. And through the process, she kind of finds this guy that she kind of forms a cute little relationship with. And so it's a dark comedy. It's a coming of age story. It's a romance, all very offbeat. A bunch of my friends at the Overlook Film Festival said that this was their favorite movie of the film festival. Then Kinds of Kindness, the latest film from Yorgos Lanthimos, the director of Poor Things. It stars Emma Stone, Willem Dafoe, Jess Plemons, several other familiar faces. Now, he's coming hot off Poor Things, which got a zillion Oscar nominations. It's an absurdist black comedy. From the trailers, I don't really know what the plot is. Apparently, it has 3 kind of separate stories that are kind of loosely connected to each other. But if you liked Poor Things, he's got another one coming your way. June 27th through the 28th. Coming out June 27th is Kalki 2898 AD. This is an Indian film that is a big sci-fi post-apocalyptic epic. And apparently it is the most expensive Indian film that has ever been made. And all of that sounds awesome to me. People have been messaging me about this film for like 6 months now to tell me to put it on my radar. It's supposed to come out actually earlier this month. It got delayed 6 weeks. And so I've been trying to make sure I catch it whenever it comes out. I believe it's from Telugu cinema, not a Bollywood film. I tend to like their films a little bit more. So this is one I'm very excited to see. Opening night in a packed theater. Definitely this one goes on the watch list. Then coming out the next day on June 28th is Horizon: An American Saga Chapter 1. This is the latest film directed by Kevin Costner. And he's doing another film in the genre where he directed a film that won Best Picture, and it won him an Oscar for Best Director. That is to say, it is a Western. He also stars in the film. And so naturally, as someone that likes Kevin Costner and likes Westerns, and we don't get a lot of Westerns, and we're getting an Oscar-winning director in this genre giving us a massive saga. Chapter 2 comes out actually later in the month. All that sounds awesome to me. It goes on the watch list. Then we have a Netflix rom-com, A Family Affair. It stars Zac Efron, Zoe King, Nicole Kidman, Kathy Bates, as well as Shirley MacLaine. Netflix is doing their part to keep the rom-com genre alive. Apparently, it deals with a movie star who falls in love with his assistant's mom. Classic kind of rom-com setup. Could be interesting. Then we have A Quiet Place Day 1. This is a spin-off from the A Quiet Place series, and to me, this feels like the perfect way to do a spin-off. The first two A Quiet Place movies create this awesome scenario where the world collapses over these creatures arriving, but the story themselves are very small. They're about this one family trying to survive in kind of a wooded area, kind of on a remote area. The spin-off takes place the day the invasion takes place in an urban setting. So you're telling another story, but it doesn't feel like a rehash. The environment is very different. It's informing us of how things played out. All of that sounds awesome to me. It's from the director of Pig, a movie from a couple years back that I loved. This one definitely goes on the watch list. We've made it to 4th of July weekend. We have movies coming out on 3 different dates. First up, July 3rd. On Netflix, we have Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. It has been 30 years since Eddie Murphy last appeared as Axel Foley. The original Beverly Hills Cop is an absolute classic. They've been trying to get this made for a very long time. Hopefully that means they spent all that time trying to get all the details just right. The trailers they've put out thus far have looked great to me. Like, they capture the vibe of the original film. They feel like throwback action films from a different era, which is exactly what I want. This one definitely goes on the watch list. Then we have Despicable Me 4. Now, this long-running animated franchise is beloved by families, and kids adore these movies. Almost every single one of them either hits or gets real close to $1 billion. This is guaranteed to be a big hit that'll put a smile on kids' faces. On July 4th, Kill. This is an Indian film that, to oversimplify things, is Die Hard on a train. I've actually already seen this movie. I watched it at Fantastic Fest last year, and it is a gnarly, brutal action film, and it's very interesting for 2 different reasons. First off, it's one of the most violent films that India has ever released, and because of that, there was a lot of working with the censors to make sure that they could get it released, and the director was trying to protect the integrity of the film. Second reason, it is one of the very first Indian films to be acquired by a Hollywood distributor for mass distribution in the United States. Now, Indian films get released in our theaters frequently, but through, directly from India to our theaters. This is being distributed by a Hollywood distributor. That is a huge deal. It's also a very cool action movie. While I've already seen this one, it goes on the watch list. I want to see this one again. And then coming out on July 5th is MaXXXine, the third film in the X trilogy following the MaXXXine character. I wasn't crazy about X. I thought Pearl was very cool, and the trailers for MaXXXine just have a wonderful aesthetic to them, an interesting, like, whodunit killer vibe to the whole thing. I ate the whole thing up. This one goes on the watch list. Moving along to the next weekend, July 12th, we have Sing Sing. This is a movie based on a real program at the Sing Sing Correctional Facility, and the plot revolves around a group of inmates that decide to stage their own stage production. This movie is played at a number of different film festivals. It played at South by Southwest. I was at South by Southwest. I wanted to watch it, but there wasn't a time when it fit into my schedule, so I haven't seen it yet. It's been getting fantastic reviews. Then we have Longlegs. This is a movie about an FBI agent investigating a serial killer. It involves the occult, and the movie has Nicolas Cage in it. The trailer seems uber creepy, so looks like it could be a solid horror thriller. Finally, Fly Me to the Moon. This is a romantic dramedy. It's coming from Apple TV, though it is getting a theatrical release, and it stars Scarlett Johansson as well as Channing Tatum, and essentially it's about someone working the Apollo 11 mission to get us to the moon, and the marketing specialist brought in to work on the PR for all of this, kind of forming a relationship between the two of them as the marketing specialist is suggesting they have a backup plan to stage a fake moon landing just in case we're not able to land on the moon. The trailers seemed like they would make for a great date night with my wife, so for me, this goes on the watch list for a wonderful date night with my wife. Then we have July 18th and the 19th. First up, we have an Amazon Prime original, My Spy, The Eternal City. This is a sequel to the Dave Bautista film, My Spy, from a few years back, where he played a spy that has to kind of become the parent figure to this little girl. Classic, tried and true formula, and it worked well enough that we are getting a second one. They're coming back for another adventure. The next day, July 19th, we have Twisters. This is a standalone sequel to the 1996 film Twister. I have thought the trailers for this have just looked like they absolutely capture the fun of the original film while adding just enough new ideas into the mix. In particular, they've got flaming tornadoes, they got dueling tornadoes turning into a jumbo tornado, all of the chaos that you want from a modern day disaster movie while feeling true to the original film. It stars Glenn Powell in his second movie this summer. It looks like this will be the year of Glenn Powell, and it's directed by the director of Minari, a movie that was nominated for Best Picture just a couple of years back. So they've got a very good director and a fun franchise. So for me, this is an easy one. It goes on the watch list. Final weekend of July, July 25th, we have Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's just cut to the chase on this one. Of course, this goes on the watch list. This is the one and only movie from Marvel Studios, the MCU, coming out in 2024. It is the third film in the Deadpool franchise, and it is the movie which is formally merging together the MCU and the Fox X-Men universe with, of course, Deadpool, but also Hugh Jackman's Wolverine leading a film that is in the MCU. Now, of course, the last two Deadpool films were a ton of fun. Ryan Reynolds is great in this role, so we're excited just to see Deadpool 3. But also, Hugh Jackman is returning to play Wolverine after all these years. This is one of the most iconic actor-character pairings in the comic book movie genre. Wolverine is the star-making role for Hugh Jackman. For all the obvious reasons, this is like the biggest movie of the summer that the entire internet is going wild for. I've already bought my tickets to go see this movie, and it comes out 2 months from now. Obviously, it's on the watch list. Before we look at the month of August, what's on your watch list? I'd love to see your watch list and share some of them. If you can head on over to IMDb and create your own IMDb watch list, then take a picture of it, do a screenshot, share it on Instagram stories or Twitter or X, tag me, use the hashtag IMDb. I will look at your watch list. I will share a whole bunch of your watch list. It's always a ton of fun to see what other people are excited for and what smaller films maybe I missed that I should be excited for. It's going to be a great summer. Moving into the next month, August 2nd, we have Cuckoo. I've actually already seen this movie twice at 2 different film festivals, South by Southwest, as well as the Overlook Film Festival. And it's one of these creepy thrillers where you go to this environment where something feels off, and the longer the movie goes, the weirder, the crazier, the wilder it gets. Dan Stevens gives this perfectly creepy but charming performance. And so if you like your horror films just a little bit off and weird, be on the lookout for this one. Then we have Harold and the Purple Crayon, and the adaptation of the children's book. It stars Zachary Levi. The trailers looked like a lot of fun. Seems like one that I'll take my entire family to. The Instigators. This is an Apple TV Plus film. It'll get a limited theatrical release and then be released on their streaming service. This one wasn't on my radar at all. And then I started researching this list. This one goes on the watch list. Let me tell you why. I almost skipped over it, clicked on it to just see what is it about, who's in it. It's directed by Doug Liman, Bourne Identity, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Edge of Tomorrow, The New Roadhouse. Co-written by Casey Affleck, starring Casey Affleck, Matt Damon, Hong Chow, Paul Walter Hauser, Ving Rhames, Alfred Molina, Ron Perlman. So it's got an amazing cast. It's about a robbery that goes wrong, and then these 2 guys on the run take their therapist with them. With this plot line, this genre, this cast, this creative team, this is one that I want to watch. August 9th, we have Borderlands coming out. This is an adaptation of the video game series. Point of reference, I have not played any of the Borderlands games. I don't know anything about the lore. I'm not commenting on how good of an adaptation it is because I do not know. I'm speaking on it purely based on the trailers that they put out. It looks like Eli Roth's Guardians of the Galaxy or Eli Roth's The Suicide Squad. And for me, that looks like a lot of fun because the Guardians of the Galaxy has come to a close. So if we can get this new version of it over here as a video game adaptation, that works for me. So I actually really dug the trailer that they put out. I like Jamie Lee Curtis, getting to see her in this wild, crazy, bonkers action comedy. I'm all for it. For me, it goes on the watch list. Then we have M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. Now, M. Night Shyamalan is one of these directors where you never really know what you're going to get, but he always has an interesting concept. This one, it's about a guy that takes his daughter to a boy band concert only to realize that there's some sort of big, gigantic investigation going on at the event. It stars Josh Hartnett. He's in the middle of a bit of a career resurgence after being in several Guy Ritchie movies over the last couple of years and then being in Oppenheimer last year. Now he's the lead in an M. Night Shyamalan film. For me, M. Night Shyamalan is one of those directors that whether I love the movie or hate the movie, it's always interesting. It's always worth talking about. So, of course, Trap goes on the watch list. Next to last week on here, we have August 16th, and we have Horizon and American Saga Chapter 2. I already talked about Chapter 1 earlier, already said that one's on the watch list, so this is Chapter 2. Don't need to say much more than that about it. Then we have Alien Romulus, another one. Immediately, it's on the watch list. I adore the first two Alien movies. They're some of my favorite films of all time. The franchise has struggled to figure out what to do for the last 35 years, almost the last 40 years. Fede Alvarez is directing this film, and for me, he seems like the perfect guy to tackle this franchise. He does these isolated horror films with people trapped in this remote space where they're in danger. They're brutal, they're visceral, they're urgent, they're tense. And that's exactly what you want from an Alien film. The trailers made it look awesome. Every quote that's come out sounds perfect. This absolutely is on my watch list. Our last weekend of the summer, August 23rd, and we have The Crow, the latest adaptation of the comic book. This movie has been in development for a very long time. Number of different actors were attached to it, and it's finally coming out with a Skarsgård in the lead. It is a remake of sorts of the 1994 film, as it is another version of the Eric Draven Crow. If you're in the mood for a supernatural revenge story with a gothic vibe to it, this is a movie to check out in August. And finally, Blink Twice. This is a thriller that is directed and co-written by Zoe Kravitz. Stars Channing Tatum as this tech mogul that invites a bunch of people to his exotic island location, and then weird stuff starts happening. Trailer seemed appropriately creepy and intriguing, and just that it's from Zoe Kravitz is kind of interesting. So that's summer 2024. Hopefully I let you know about some movies that you're interested in that you hadn't previously heard about. What's on your watch list? Create an IMDb watch list, share it on Instagram or Twitter, X, tag me in the post, hashtag IMDb. I would love to see your list and share a bunch of them too. Thank you so much for watching, and keep talking movies and TV to